Did Ilhan Omar just call America one of the worst countries?
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar criticized the increasing authoritarianism of the Trump administration, including its crackdown on anti-ICE protesters in Los Angeles. Let's watch.
I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights.
Omar then said this about the president's military parade. Here we go.
While our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade, it is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans to say this is not the country we were born in. This is not the country we believe in. This is not the country our founding fathers imagined.
Florida's Attorney General James Uthmeier blasted Omar on X, writing, "Denaturalize and deport." Last Saturday, the U.S. Army celebrated its 250th anniversary. That also happened to be President Trump's birthday. The Trump administration geared up for the parade filled with tanks and armored personnel carriers rolling through the nation's capital. People in dozens of cities took to the streets protesting the event, calling it a politicization of the armed forces by an autocrat. Look, I think what Ilhan Omar does wrong is she just goes too far in saying America is the worst. It's like, we'll try to have some perspective. And I know she does have perspective because she grew up elsewhere in a more authoritarian environment. I have also criticized some of the excesses of the Trump administration, particularly with the immigration stuff. I don't like it either. I don't like the idea of the military on the streets. Now, if you're rioting and looting and setting things on fire, that's going to be the natural response. People don't like that. Americans don't want that. Low-income people who live in those cities that get set on fire, they don't like that either. They want law enforcement to come in. But let's maintain some perspective. China is an authoritarian menace. Russia is an authoritarian menace. North Korea.
Right.
Even our Western enlightened allies in like Europe, in Germany, they'll send the police to your front door to jail you for like a tweet they don't like because they don't have the First Amendment. So let's maintain some perspective. This is a wonderful, beautiful, free country. We have some issues with what our government does. I have plenty of issues with that. I think it's fine to criticize that, but I think she loses perspective a little bit.
Yeah, because we can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have the rising in China.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, they do, and it's like, oh, the dear leader had
terrific job, Mr. President.
Knocked you out of the park again.
It's exactly what you. Anytime you're going to say anything like the worst country, I hate that on both sides. You know, I feel like our political rhetoric, our political journalism, and sort of broadly our politics rewards extreme positions now. It's like the only thing, it's like you take an extreme position and then the only way that you get back on TV or get more attention is take a more extreme position. So you're just constantly farming out more extreme positions. I'll be honest, like, I didn't love the idea of tanks rolling through Washington. I thought like, ooh, it's not, those optics aren't really great. I will say I watched a fair amount of it, and I watched it on channels where it wasn't like rah-rah or this is the worst thing in the world. I thought it was fine. I thought, look, I actually think Saturday was a success for democracy. The people who wanted to support Donald Trump, broadly the military and I guess a little Donald Trump, were there to celebrate him. I know liberals are like, there was no one there. Okay, man. Fine, whatever. Like,
there were millions of people watching it on television.
And it was a pain in the butt to get there. I wasn't coming down there.
Yeah.
Anyway, bad weather, whatever. And also, as you noted, there were millions of people protesting. That's how America and democracy works. Yeah. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I did not think watching the military parade, I was not like, oh man, he's using this to threaten us, that they're going to take over. It was like mostly a bunch of men and women who were really, like soldiers, who were waving and thrilled to be there and to show off what they do.
And the historical perspective, how the military technology has changed, how the uniforms have changed. I think it was educational and interesting from a history perspective. There's not enough, American history. There's some criticisms or complaints that it's not emphasized enough in our schools, that we don't have enough of an appreciation for the We can talk about the bad, obviously, but the good too in our history, the successes.
I don't know. I was not watching any of that thinking,
yeah.
Oh man, this is North Korea. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought it would be 50 to 70% Trump, 30% Army celebrate, right? Like in the 79th birthday of Trump, 250th birthday Army. It wound up being like, I mean, you could quibble with the percentages, but 95-5 Army Trump. He even, like, his speech was the shortest speech I've literally ever heard him give. I mean, he did the "we're the hottest country in the world" line, like from his campaign speeches, but it wasn't particularly partisan, and he ended it pretty quickly, and then we went on to celebrating the Army and the military more broadly. Tempest in teapot.
The thing I disliked about it the most was that it made my travel back to DC very difficult. But
I had to come in the
fine.
night before to do News Nation. It was unpleasant. A lot of workarounds. Thank you, Waze.
Yeah. Next up, the Israel-Iran conflict is splitting the parties, but it's created some unlikely allies in Congress. We'll tell you about it. That's up next.